here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
Defending Islam part is, he's so fucking good, man. He's such a demonic entity.
I understood what the Antichrist is, I would say so. And I don't really. I mean, I guess literally.
He's packed up the Ummah. The Ummah will never recover. They will wage war at the behest of Tucker Carlson. Yeah, that's why the New York Times is not doing a fucking 2-hour sit down with me and is doing a 2-hour sit down with this danger, Tucker Carlson. What the fuck do you think is the reason? Because Tucker Carlson is unbelievably safe. Okay? By the standards of being critical of American foreign policy, Tucker Carlson has spent most of his career as a commentator defending American foreign policy. Well, the New York Times did do a podcast with you. Buddy, this is very different than that, okay? This is the interview portion. It's an entirely separate segment designed around understanding the nuances of one singular person. Very different than me going on Ross Douthat's show to get yelled at by Ross Douthat at a time when, right after Charlie Kirk's assassination, they were trying to present me as a dangerous figure that should be prosecuted by the American government and not some liberal like fucking Jimmy Kimmel. That's what Ross Douthat was trying to do in that convo. Trying to jam me up. Or, I don't know, going on New York Times podcast to talk about like micro-looting or whatever the fuck. This is very different.
Murder civilians. I mean, that's a crime. That's a moral crime. So to brag about that and then to mock Islam, I don't think you should mock people's faith. I don't care if it's Judaism or Christianity or Islam, but it's especially galling as a Christian I voted for Trump in.
It is actually kind of crazy because Tucker Carlson is like a media figure, mainstream media figure, has been around for a very long time. And I think in the last 2 months, I've probably gotten more reporting, like more negative reporting from both Fox News and also CNN and other like liberal outlets, as opposed to the Tucker Carlson commentary hour. Like Tucker Carlson certainly receives a good deal of that. He's critical of Israel, so obviously he's anti-Semitic narratives, right? He definitely has been on the receiving end of a shit ton of hit pieces, but never to this degree, never to this severity. Perhaps it's because he doesn't say certain things. Like Tucker Carlson is not going to ever endorse any sort of militant resistance against America or Israel, right? He's never going to do that. He's never going to do that. He just said he opposes mocking Islam. He's not that dangerous. Don't you think his anti-Zionism makes Tucker Carlson less dangerous? Wait, what are you talking about? No, we're talking about dangerous from the perspective of mainstream media, chatter. You're misunderstanding. He's not an anti-capitalist. He actually is a defender of capitalism, and he's not an anti-imperialist.
In 2024, and one of the main.
He's not even an anti-Zionist. He's not even an anti-Zionist. His job isn't to try to explain to people why. Certain groups that have been dominated for 80 plus years are going to inevitably fight back. Is there a greatest hits of Tucker Carlson being a white nationalist so we can exposure therapy some chatters? Hold on. God damn it. I looked up Hasan Piker Tucker Carlson breakdown. And all this shit that comes up. Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for.
Hi, Tucker Carlson's white pilling your dads every night.
On the left, you may have noticed everything is about race. Everything, even things that have nothing to do with race.
So this is from 2018, okay? October 3rd, 2018. 100,000 views on the Young Turks, okay? Ironic because if you search Hasan Piker Tucker Carlson, you find articles comparing me to Tucker Carlson. That's what is at the top of the algo from JNS and whatnot, but here it is.
Tucker Carlson's white pilling your dads every night.
On the left, you may have noticed everything is about race. Everything, even things that have nothing to do with race.
There's one thing Tucker Carlson hates. It's continuing to wear bow ties. That and talking about race. Unless it's about preserving the white race.
Everybody gets a safe space except white men. They are hated and despised. Attacking white men for being white men. Attack white men for their privilege and all. in a whole bunch of ways.
I was handed a box of saltine crackers, and in a group chat during the event, a student photoshopped my face onto a cracker.
This is what Tucker Carlson's doing with Bill O'Reilly's coveted 8 p.m. slot on Fox News, which is currently the 3rd most popular cable news show in the country.
By the way, just to pause, I assume that's a slur against your ethnicity, correct?
I've talked about this on my Twitch a lot, but only the most important subjects are covered on Tucker's show, like white genocide, which is in fact something that the left is advocating for, apparently.
But he did not, notably, advocate for genocide. A Georgetown professor called Christine Fair did do that.
Imagine being a producer on Tucker's show, constantly scouring the internet looking for blue checkmark Twitter users saying dumb things while they're emotionally distraught in order to make wild claims like that the left is advocating for white genocide. Of course, this isn't how white genocide is actually happening. According to the folks Tucker is mirroring, white genocide is happening because immigration is changing the nation's demographics, and it's being justified by an evil liberal plot called diversity.
Diversity is our strength, they screech, as if that settles the conversation by itself, like a magic talisman.
Diversity. We hear about it non-stop. It's the mainstream motto.
Tucker's relentless attacks against diversity, multiculturalism, and immigrants as a whole are literally identical to white supremacists, white nationalists, and neo-Nazis. They're also reductive and oftentimes completely baseless comparisons.
How precisely is diversity our strength? Since you've made this our new national motto, please be specific as you explain it.
Well, for one, diverse executive boards generate better returns, among countless other studies that show the many benefits of diversity, but I'm sure the biases of racially anxious agitators are more important than empirical evidence.
Can you think, for example, of other institutions, such as, I don't know, marriage or military units, in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are?
Well, Tucker, you have the most in common with your family members. Are you suggesting keeping marriage within your family? Why do you want to have sex with your cousins, Tucker? Also, as far as non-diverse militaries...
Interesting that I was doing the inbred joke even as far as back in fucking 2018. For the record, another moment of irony is now the inbred jokes that I use against like Jewish supremacy is now being presented as like the utmost maximalist anti-Semitism. Not new to this, you're true to this. Thank you. Damn, Unc, you even looked old back then.
Maybe you should open a history book and take that up with General Robert E. Lee. Go on, Tuck. What else?
Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want.
This assertion is preposterous because, I mean, it's completely untrue. Just look at polling data. 75% of Americans say that immigration is a good thing. So who are the Americans you're referring to here? These guys?
It sounds to me like we got a problem with people who got here legally altering the landscape politically. I don't like it. You. Stop it.
But I guess we should just run the country on the white fragility of crying neo-Nazis as opposed to the overwhelming majority of Americans' wishes. But play us out, Tucker. Give us a cherry-picked example that could easily be countered with facts.
Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazleton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there, and that's bewildering for people.
Hazleton's a perfect example of immigrants saving a small coal mining town from absolute economic annihilation by opening up small businesses, and even the large immigrant-run corporations who have brought jobs over to the small town. This is, of course, despite the efforts made by the white population to fight off the immigrant scourge with unconstitutional regulations. And even the Nat Geo article that you're using here to advance your narrative mentions the reality that immigration has drastically improved Hazleton. But you won't hear that part because Tucker's not in the business of making America better. He's just trying to do white identity politics. And I'm sorry to tell you this, Tucker, but facts don't care about your feelings. I'm Hasan Piker. If you're...
Was that a little taste for you guys? Was that good enough?
To come back to this moment for you, which is there's the political case against Trump that you make. But I do want to ask you about the moral case that you've been making as well. And that's a word that you've used. You know, in that monologue responding to Trump's Easter post, you said that Trump's comments were evil. And I just want to understand that a little bit better. Do you think only his comments are evil, or does the evil extend to Trump himself? Is he evil?
I just want to be really clear that there's a lot of evil in me and in every person. So I just don't.
When I was calling Trump evil, I was doing Christian style, okay? I was doing it Christian style. Now, obviously that, for us, that's a satisfying statement to hear from Tucker Carlson because he is objectively evil, but he's not doing that right now. I just need you to understand. He's doing like when I call people evil, I mean, in the same way that we're all a little bit evil. We're all sinners after all, Christian style. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Don't want to, and I've certainly experienced it in myself, and I've seen it in all people. We're all capable of evil. So I want to pull back on the judgment and be very precise about what I was saying, which is you cannot mock other people's gods and put yourself in their place. Period. That is a deal killer for me. That's worse than the war with Iran, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I ask because, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show the day after Easter.
That's worse. That's worse than murdering little schoolgirls, okay? I just don't think Tucker Carlson or any person sincerely believes that, okay? Disrespecting God, like disrespecting Christians and Christianity is fucking worse. Tucker, first of all, you're not a fucking fundamentalist Islamist, okay? Like, Tucker is literally doing the drawing of the Prophet Muhammad is the ultimate sin, and I will fucking fight you to the end. But this time for disrespecting gods. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. You don't believe that. You have in the past openly stated, by the way, that's like ISIS. Tucker Carlson is like, well, as a Salafist, as a follower and a worshiper of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, I consider disparaging the God that we all believe in, the one God, the one true God, Allah, the disrespect it to be the ultimate sin, ultimate haram, as we say. Yeah, he called Iraqis monkeys on air, bro. He said Iraqis are primitive monkeys that deserve to be bombed back to the motherfucking Stone Age. Like, people don't know Tucker's background. They're just, that's what it is. When you're around for, 30 fucking years, right? And you have been such a target-rich environment for every different kind of reactionary opinion. Most people don't know this motherfucker's background. I remember because I was there. Yeah, now the Ummah loves him. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Where the fuck is it? I can't find it. I've covered that shit too.
You noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand.
Here, there's a chatter sent this one.
Tucker, aren't we the only country allowed to make preemptive strikes? Who the hell does Iran think it is?
That's it. Actually, I know you're sort of kidding, but I agree with that. I think we are the only country.
No, I'm not kidding at all.
Rather, we are. That's absolutely right. The only country with the moral authority sufficient to do that. The only country that doesn't seek hegemony in the world. I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil. I do think we ought to assess what would happen to the price of energy were we to do that. I don't think that's a small factor. It could tank our economy.
Tucker, aren't we the only country allowed to make preemptive strikes? Who the hell does Iran think it is?
That's it. Actually,
I'm running it again so you can hear it again.
I know you're sort of kidding, but I agree with that. I think we are the only country
I'm not
with the
kidding
moral
at all.
authority. Rather, we are. That's absolutely right. The only country with the moral authority sufficient to do that. The only country that doesn't seek hegemony in the world. I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil. I do think we ought to assess what would happen to the price of energy were we to do that. I don't think that's a small factor.
Why did I get fired from Fox News? Do you want the real reason or the fake reason? The fake reason that they released to the media was a Dominion case. The real reason was because Rupert Murdoch was personally fucking terrified of the unbelievable influence Tucker Carlson commanded. The real reason was that, and I remember reading something about this at the time. Like, Rupert Murdoch had like a much younger wife at the time, and she had become a huge Tucker Carlson fan, and she was like becoming, Rupert Murdoch is like a huge COVID, what's the, like, not truther necessarily, like he's really worried about COVID, famously. It's kind of unbelievable when you think about how much anti-vax conspiracies Fox News has actually, no, he's not a skeptic, he's not a denier, no, quite the opposite. He is a major COVID realist. He is responsible for so much COVID skepticism when he was an unbelievable COVID paranoid, a COVID paranoid person, COVID conscious person. I don't know what the right word is. Yeah, he was Putin levels of COVID avoidance. Yes. In his personal life. I talked about this. I talked about this in the past. He basically shut himself off from the rest of the world. He basically shut himself off from the rest of the world during COVID, during peak COVID. He cut the line and got the vaccine before anybody else did. And it's really funny because he's terrified. He's old and he's terrified of dying. And he was really, really, really scared of COVID. And yet all of his newspapers, all of his media outlets did so much harm. So much unlimited harm to the discourse.
Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys. Typical whining from a black politician about how you don't like me because I'm black, using racism as a defense, right? I can't.
Yes, I know he apologized for defending the Iraq war, dude. Yeah, I know. He was a silly little 34-year-old or something at the time when he was saying all this stuff. He was just a guy who was duped, okay? I know. You people will believe anything, okay? It's fucking awesome.
I've spent my whole life in the media. My dad was in the media. Like, that is...
His dad was in the CIA.
A big part of the revelation that's changed my life is the media are part of the control.
Calling it one of the biggest regrets of his life. I know. He's changed. It's just crazy because nothing else changed.
Control apparatus. Like, there's no...
What do you mean, you people? You know exactly what I mean. Dumb motherfuckers who fall for anything.
Yeah, I know. Because you're younger and smarter and you're like, yeah. But what if you're me and you spent your whole life in that world? And to look around and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. Not only are they part of the problem, but I spent most of my life being part of the problem, defending the Iraq war. Like, I actually did that. Can you imagine if you did that?
Well, what do you think? What is one of your biggest regrets in your career?
Oh, defending the Iraq war.
That is it?
Well, I've had a million regrets. Not being more skeptical, calling people names when I should have listened to what they were saying. Look, when someone makes a claim.
Yeah, these are the type of motherfuckers who will literally believe Tucker Carlson and then say Graham Plattner is a phony. There is a literal Venn diagram that's a circle there, okay? There are hella people who genuinely think Tucker Carlson is a changed man, and those very same people are like, well, Graham Plattner is a fucking child killer, baby murderer, bloodthirsty monster who's just obviously fake. That seems like a ridiculous straw man. Oh, here we go. At least I couldn't catch you defending Tucker Carlson. At least you are sincere, and you are sincerely skeptical of Tucker Carlson. So you're safe for today. But if I catch you in an inconsistency, it's over. No, I'm just kidding. Bro, there was a chatter earlier who said Tucker has pushed back against liberals more than you. It's not a fucking straw man. Why spend your whole life fighting for your values, fighting for your principles, fighting for social justice, advocating, even when no one's looking, advocating for the same exact things when there's 35 people in here as opposed to 35,000, getting yelled at endlessly, doxxed, swatted, smeared all around the internet, when you can just make a fucking heel turn one day and be like, yeah, actually, now that this shit's unfavorable, I decided it's bad. And dumb fucks will turn around and go, yeah, that guy is actually righteous. You, on the other hand, you're a fucking piece of shit, dude. Fuck you. No one is right all the time, you fucking asshole. Why does Tucker Carlson push back more on Zionists than you do? You've had multiple interviews with liberal Zionists and said nothing. Oh, great question. Okay, here, let's unban this guy because I really want to ask him a question. Hey, if I said what Tucker Carlson says about Israel, do you think that would be defensible? Like, I love Israel. I think Israel is a wonderful country. I've visited Israel many times. I have many friends who actually love Israel. I have many friends that work in the Israeli state. I actually love all of that. Do you think that you would be as skeptical of Tucker Carlson as you are of me in that situation? Because I can tell you the answer. You glazed Tucker Carlson, and he said all of those things. I never have. You're a fucking rube, jackass. Tucker Carlson is a liberal Zionist, but they're not wrong. They're not wrong. What kind of fucking pushback is Tucker Carlson offering to liberal Zionists if he himself is a liberal Zionist? You just literally undermined your own argument. Is he turning on the mirror and debating himself? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, Tucker Carlson's not even a liberal, so he's just a Zionist, I guess. This is what I mean. Some of you guys are a little bit lost, I'll admit. I think you're a little bit lost. You're a little inconsistent. You don't have a consistent standard. I've given many interviews at this point as to why I align myself with people who I disagree with on the issue of Israel, including people like Bernard Sanders. I've addressed it because you know who always brings that up? Fucking Zionists do, okay? They always bring that up. They're like, you say liberal Zionism is equivalent to liberal Nazism. It's oxymoronic. How can you say that, but then also work with people who would be liberal Zionists themselves? And I tell them, this is not a contradiction from my estimation, as long as someone is a liberal Zionist, but is not actually presenting themselves as a hurdle in front of anti-Zionists, as long as they're not like stepping in front of anti-Zionists and saying, no, this is a bridge too far, then I can still work with those people, especially if they have their position in the political spectrum is still far better than the overwhelming majority of people that are talking about this issue. Okay? And the argument that I always present is this. I'm anti-white supremacy. There are plenty of resilient white supremacist attitudes that the average American has. Okay? Do I just automatically write them off, or do I try to convince them? Do I try to talk to them? Do I try to work with them? Because if I were to write them off in the same way, because white supremacy is a fascist ideology as well. Okay, I'm anti-fascist. One can say they're anti-fascist and then, I don't know, try to rid themselves of any association they have with people who have fascist tendencies in the same way as people that have Zionist tendencies. When you question the journalists on what they mean by Israel's right to exist, you couldn't push back a little on Matt Duss. I dislike disingenuous ultras too. Wait, what? When you question the journalists on what they mean by Israel's right to exist, you couldn't push back a little on Matt Duss? Do you like even this assessment is wrong because Matt does, regardless of the role that he's occupied, is infinitely closer to our worldview than the fucking Economist, you dumbass. What are you talking about? The Economist woman was like straight up defending Israel. And that's not true. I literally did actually push back on Matt Duss's defensive and offensive weapons distinction. You just don't think it was sufficient because I didn't call him like I don't know, a neo-Nazi that I can't have any fucking conversation with or any reasonable disagreements with. But once again, you say I dislike disingenuous ultras too, but then you turn around. Oh God, this is gonna restart another cycle in the discourse. Again, I'm telling you right now, chatter, you don't have consistent principles on this. If you think Tucker Carlson does a better job pushing back against liberal Zionism, when you admit that he himself could be considered a liberal Zionist, that doesn't make any fucking sense. You accuse the chatter of being lost, but the line you draw on Zionism, liberal or not, is pretty arbitrary because that's what beliefs are. There's a line you draw that doesn't mean you have some magic set of rules the rest of us don't. Okay, but the magic set of rules cannot be not only defending Tucker Carlson, but even going so far as to say Tucker Carlson does a better job of addressing Zionism than I do. Do you agree with that chatter's distinction here? Do you agree with the line that chatter has drawn, no matter how arbitrary? Or do you feel like it's unbelievably incoherent, especially considering that the chatter himself has admitted, chatter himself has fucking admitted personally that Tucker Carlson could be considered a liberal Zionist? Tucker Carlson could also be considered many things, like white nationalist, a fascist. He is the number one advocate of the white replacement theory, the great replacement theory.
There's only one question that's important at the very beginning, which is the claim true or not? So I say, you committed murder or you rigged the last election before you...
I don't know. I think you're afraid of being mocked by Tucker. Yeah, so afraid. That's why I'm constantly trying to have a conversation with Mr. Mogger himself. And he's the one who's avoiding it. Ball's in his court, buddy. What?
Attack me as a crazy person for saying that. Maybe you should explain whether you did it or not. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for too long, I participated in the culture where I was like, anyone who thinks outside these pre-prescribed lanes is crazy, is a conspiracy theorist. And I just really regret that. I'm ashamed that I did that. And partly it was age, partly it was the world that I grew up in. So when you look at me and you're like, yeah, of course they're part of the means of control. I'm like, that's obvious to you because you're 28, but I just didn't see it at all. And I'm ashamed of that.
Isn't that what the media tries to do, though?
It's their only purpose.
Right.
They're not here to inform you. Really? Even on the big things that really matter, like the economy and war and COVID and like things that really matter that will affect you. No, their job is not to inform you. They are working for the small group of people who actually run the world. They're their servants. They're their Praetorian Guard. And we should treat them with maximum contempt because they have earned it.
I've never said Tucker likes Israel worse than the people who they're attacking. What?
On the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's
This part was
mocking the
funny.
gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one,
This dude has 7K subscribers. Why give him air? I know you're making that as a joke. I think, right? Yes. He was hacked apparently, and we found out that he only has 7,000 subscribers, which I don't know if that's like true or not. But it is very funny to think that Tucker Carlson is not an influential person in American politics. Like, aside from however many subscribers he has.
Actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it. Just to be totally
No, in
clear.
Revelations, obviously, the Antichrist is named in different
Yeah, and not just Revelation, but throughout the New Testament, there are references and in the prophets as well. So, but no, I'm not speculating about that. I know that people are speculating about that, but I would say it's enough to acknowledge that Trump, like many leaders through history, is putting himself above God. To send, but even on a more terrestrial level, like to send out a picture of yourself as Jesus has got to be a red line for Christians. How could it not be? It has to be. And I wish that Christians would speak up when he attacks Allah, when he mocks the faith of Muslims.
So to be clear, though, that was not what you were suggesting.
If I thought Trump was the Antichrist, I would just say so.
The defending Islam part is he's so fucking good, man. He's such a demonic entity.
I understood what the Antichrist is, I would say so. And I don't really. I mean, I guess
he's packed up the Ummah. The Ummah will never recover. They will wage war at the behest of Tucker Carlson.